Well, hello everybody, and welcome to our information session on personal career management, crafting your plan on a page. This, of course, is the information session for our 2025 course. Just before we start, I recognise that I'm hosting this webinar from the country of the Darki, Ngurungai and Awabakal people here on the New South Wales Central Coast who lived, hunted, farmed and thrived here for many thousands of years. I recognise the traditional owners of the lands from where you all work today and pay respects to the elders past and present. We celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and acknowledge any First Nations people present in this webinar or listening to this webcast. So what is PCM? It's a program to enable you to take control of your career and be ahead of it rather than behind it. So it's about being strategic in how you think about your career. It's about crafting your own career, not one built by someone else. So many of us have gone through our career and things have just sort of serendipitously happened to us. So it's sort of been a career by serendipity as opposed to a career that's had a little bit more structure, purpose and planning. And sometimes I look enviously at those people that have had a career of structure, purpose and planning and think, goodness me, how did they get there? Well, hard work, taking a strategic approach and thinking in a holistic way and tapping into others, I think, has really been the other big thing. And so Sheena, who has, of course, had a lot of experience in this space, both overseas and here, particularly in guiding and navigating and supporting others from, board members through to senior execs down to junior people in their career to navigate it and think about it in a more structured way. And so what we've done is we've put together a program that wherever you're at enables you to take or wrest back control of your career, to sit back a bit, to think about where you're at and to start to plot a way forward. And you can plot it forward from many different ways. So it's people at all stages of their career journey, regardless of professional qualification, sector or job title. It actually works across all sectors. And in fact, the reason the PCM program works so well is because people come together from across different sectors. So you don't just have it run in-house with a single company, but you join together and people come from non-profits, people come from government, people come from all sorts of different places because its focus is on you, not on your organization. It's very much a focus on you and how you can continue to be successful and purposeful or more purposeful as you make career choices and move forward. So it's kind of one of those nice times where you can step out from what you're doing and work with an engaged cohort of others to develop your understanding of what matters most in managing your career from a strategic perspective. And in the end, it's about crafting your career narrative, aligning your purpose to your career goals, and then learning how to articulate that. Because it's one thing to write it down, it's one thing to have a plan on a page, but then how do you speak to it? How do you actually get that plan out and without seeming to reference it at all, be able to articulate very clearly what's your career plan and what your career strategy is? And of course, that really helps you to get on the front foot when it comes to any sort of, performance management conversations, when it comes to those sort of regular, you know, what would you like to do here next type of conversation, or when you start to think, I actually want to add some different value to or around what I am doing. So it's an iterative process. So this is not a once and done. What we're doing in this program is giving you a whole set of tools and templates and that help you to keep adding on and building throughout your career. So you get a big chunk of the work done with us, but then you can go back to it 6 months later and you can tweak it. In fact, we got a lovely email from someone just the other day who was on this year's course. And she emailed us both and said, I'm going for an interview. I'm really wanting to look at those cards that you referenced. I pulled out my notes after 6 months. I dusted them off and I gave the best interview that I've ever given. And now I'd like to follow up with some different tools. So it was really lovely to be able to hear from Joyce and to know that that would really help to in that way. So it's a very safe space too. What are some of the learning outcomes? Awareness of how to employ critical career thinking. Many of you will be great at doing it for your organization, but are you good at doing it for yourself? About having that awareness and understanding of what matters to you in work and in life, and being able to use that to think about how you drive your career forward. So once you've done that, you then need to articulate what your career goals are. There is no point knocking on the door of your boss and saying, you know what, I think I'd like to do something different. And your boss, who's been waiting for you to say this for ages, says, great, excellent, Sarah. What would you like to do? And you sit there and you go, well, I don't really know. I thought you might be able to tell me. That is not the way to go into a conversation. So you need to be able to be on the front foot. You need to be able to say, well, I've been doing some career planning work, and this is where I would like to be going. It's about how your self-perception might limit your own progress and understanding that. It's not a matter of everyone becoming an extrovert and everyone becoming a brilliant speaker, but it's about understanding how you work, what sort of limits you, and how you can work most effectively to overcome those, and what supports and helps and tools that you need. It's about better communication, influencing and negotiating skills. It's about improved presentation skills across a variety of situations. It's about confidence in your overall capability and capacity to succeed. So building, this bit of you. It's a clear understanding of the value you bring to an organization, expanding those career horizons and thinking outside of your profession, perhaps to think about volunteering, board roles, other things that you'd like to bring in or do within your organization. How to engage with and benefit from mentors, coaches, sponsors, and all the other people who are out there who may already be supporting you, and you may know or not know it. But if they're not, how to engage them, because there's a whole lot of people out there ready and willing and able to help you. And then it's about owning your career narrative via the Plan on the Page tool. Who's it for? Well, it's pretty much designed for women at various stages of their career. So if any of these people sound like you, this program is going to work. So you're looking for a career change in direction, but you're not sure of the how or of the what. You've been passed over probably too many times for advancement due to a perception that you're not ready or not strategic or not something. You're resuming a career role followed by a career break, and that happens for everybody and is just part of life. You're feeling stuck in management roles or mid roles, and you need to overcome speed humps that have slowed your progress to more senior roles, or advancement in the company that you're with. You're seeking to affirm or to reaffirm that you're doing the right things to effectively manage and to future-proof your career. So you're setting yourself up for success. You might be sort of divide your career into thirds and think you're in the final stage or the mid stage, but where's this going to lead you? Or you're in a transition phase and you're moving to what's called that classic portfolio career. So if any of those people sound like you, and you might have more than one of those, then PCM is absolutely going to help you. Now, the reason we know this is because other people have told us. And very fortunately, we've got Jocie Evison, who's the head of events at the University of Sydney. And she's an events strategy and delivery professional and an expert in cross-function collaboration and execution. We've got Rebecca Woodyatt, who's an organisational advisor of child safety at the City of Melbourne. And she's a people-focused and purpose-driven leader with substantial experience across the local government and the health sectors. And we've got them both here today to talk to us.
Firstly, thank you for inviting me to be here. It's an absolute pleasure, and I hope that those of you who are attending find this really useful. I think, Claire, you wanted me to talk about maybe firstly why I chose to take on the Women on Board's personal career management course. And you've touched on some of those items already. The list that you just shared, I picked myself out probably 5 of the 7, I think, were on that list. So a lot of that applied to me. I felt very stuck. I wanted to regain a bit of confidence after a few changes at work, and just didn't really have a direction to go in. I'd never been particularly strategic, and I wanted to take control of my career and work out where to go next. What did that look like? and why, importantly. So I knew that when I made choices in the future, I was doing it backed up with some really solid thinking.
What was your experience on the program, Jocie?
It was great. I met people like Beck. Really nice to see Beck. We've had a little side message while you were doing the introductions, Claire. I found it was a very safe space. I think you mentioned that in your introduction, Claire. I was really inspired by a lot of amazing women, but at the same time, I realized that whilst they were inspirational, we're all human. And I was being inspired by them, but realizing at the same time that they suffered the same insecurities that I did. They suffered the same challenges that I did. They had the same questions that I did. So that was really inspirational to me, just to see how these amazing women were also human. Stepping outside of the ordinary as well. Again, Claire, a lot of what you said in the intro, you nailed it. I have to say the course does exactly what it says on the tin. So taking that time to really concentrate on me and what I want, and what I want in the career and the professional workspace, but how that might relate back to my personal life as well, and making sure that both of those are really intertwined.
So, have there been any practical outcomes or benefits that you've experienced?
Yes,
Good.
many. I'm just trying to think of, without taking up too much time, I'm trying to think of what the best ones are. Certainly not running from a role. So I'm actually still in the same role that I was in when I did the course earlier this year, but I don't see that as a bad thing, because I'm now exploring, whilst I'm ready to move, I think I'm exploring what that might look like and where I might go. And I see that I've got a lot more strategy around the decisions I'm making. Just literally a couple of weeks ago, a really great job came up within the university. And luckily, I know the lady who is leaving. She's going on mat leave. So it was even quite a safe one. It was a 12-month secondment. So I had a chat with her and I'm like, wow, this job's amazing. This is great. This is a really great role. It was also a higher pay grade than what I'm on. And then I went home and I thought about it. And I picked up my one pager and I said, this isn't the right job for me. This is an amazing job, but it doesn't actually align with what I want to do. So definitely the one pager. And I do find it difficult to apply everything I learn every day. Like life takes over. But I've always got this to come back to, and I've always got the notes to come back to. I've got the resources to come back to, and particularly the one pager to come back to when I'm having a bit of a wobble, or should I go for this job? Should I not? Am I good enough? What do I want to do with my life? I've got that to come back to. So I found it really useful, although in all honesty, real life carries on and it's really hard to stick with it. And it takes a lot of work. That's another thing I learned. It's not just going to happen. It does take work. But at least now I feel like I've got a solid foundation to build that work on.
Thank you. That's lovely to hear that you immediately thought, "Oh, this job, it sounds amazing. Is that for me?" And then you went, "Hang on a minute. Just going to check in with the one pager that is it." Sheila and I just both sitting here going, "Yes, that is so what it's for." So that's absolutely brilliant. Thanks, Jocie. Rebecca, how about you? Why did you do the program?
I pretty much I feel like Josie's actually taught for me as well in some ways. But again, I did it because I was feeling really stuck. I feel like I've had a very broad career with a broad range of skills, but at the same time, it was very hard from that to want to progress, but not knowing where to put my energies or not knowing what was my kind of keys selling or my key value for different organizations. I also found it really hard to decide what excited me as well. So, yeah, I did find that it was feeling stuck. I'm probably thinking about my career now for the next 10 years. And so I really wanted to do something where I felt excited and I felt like I'm progressing as well. So the personal career management was really good in that way of allowing me to really reflect on myself and to dive deeper and really to discover what my value is and really what my motivations are as well. Yeah.
Which is really nice because in many ways you've outlined what your experience was on the program. How important was it that we had those face-to-face sessions, and what have you taken away from those?
Yeah, I love the face-to-face sessions. It was, as Jocie mentioned before, a really safe space. They were also quite challenging as well, which I really loved. That you were really challenged to think deeply. Although we were face to face, it was amazing to meet so many different amazing women from different sectors. Realize that we had differences, but also we had so much in common as well. Particularly when people were at different stages of their career, we found there was this recurrent theme of feeling a little bit stuck and deciding how do we want to progress and how do we want to be strategic. So that was really valuable. I took away a lot from those face-to-face sessions. I also found the challenges in terms of thinking really deeply around having the time to think deeply and having the space to really reflect on my whole career, to really decide to reflect on what really excited me at good times in my career and where some jobs just weren't that great and why. It really helped me to really sort of define where I want to go next. The other thing that I really liked about the face-to-face was that it did put me out of my comfort zone at times, particularly when we were practicing our presentation skills and we had to do a presentation on the spot. It was challenging, but it was also really growth opportunity as well. And it was a really safe space to take feedback and to learn from it. Yeah.
Yeah, really nice. So have there been any practical outcomes? Have you had occasion to pull your one-pager out?
I have been pulling my one pager up a lot, actually. What I actually did when I came home and I got my one pager was that I actually updated my CV. I found that bringing out my values and talking about my three key points of who I am has been really useful. It also clarified, having the one pager really clarified the way forward for me. Um, I found that although I haven't changed positions yet, I've got a real good sense of where I want to go. I've been able to define where I want to be, what excites me. The other benefit that I found, which I was not expecting, was that it actually clarified my skills and my value in my current role as well, which I hadn't really expected to have at the time, because I was actually quite struggling with my role as well before I came on the PCM course. So that really allowed me to define what were the key skills that I had from this role as well, and also allow me to think about those in terms of taking that forward. So I still am looking for a new a new position, but it's actually now I have a really good sense of a good idea of where I want to move. So yeah, it's been really good at honing my CV as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Sheena and I have both
Mm-hmm.
commented that doing the one-pager ahead of any CV, and CVs are now very skills and capabilities based,
Mm.
but people who went on to boards and then did this course ahead of doing their board CV then found that incredibly helpful because it really helped them think much more clearly about their value proposition, which of course that's what your CV is really. It's your value proposition for a particular
Yeah.
role.
Well, I'm actually looking at a board role. I actually applied for a board role as well, so I'm waiting for the outcome on that. But it was very good. I had to do a pitch rather than a whole CV, and I pulled out my one pager to actually put the pitch forward, which was incredibly useful. So whether or not I'm successful at that, it actually allowed me to be able to pitch myself confidently and really articulate my value as well.
That's really exciting. Well, do let us know. As you know, we love to
Yeah.
celebrate success here at WOB, and so please let us know if that comes off because we would love to be able to promote that as well.
One thing I really appreciated about the course was taking 2 days out where you are just carving out that time. And that was one thing I loved. Like you reflect back as part of the course, you reflect back on your career journey, and you also map out where you might want to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, which I've never done before. What you loved and what you didn't love. And the whole value session as well, or well, not session, it's the whole thing really, finding your values helped me certainly go, I love it when I do that. Oh yeah, actually that's what excites me. Actually, sometimes I don't know if you guys agree. Sometimes it's just common sense. You're like, oh, of course, but we don't take that time out to stop and think about it. And certainly for me, what I saw as my values was also things that I found that helped me establish what's fun. What am I going to enjoy at work as well? Beck, I don't know if you've got anything to follow up with your excitement.
No, absolutely. What I was able to do was reflect on jobs that gave me that feeling more. It became a real sensual kind of feeling for me in a way, an emotional feeling. And it's allowed me, like you said, in my current roles to really pick out those moments where I do find that excitement, but also giving me that opportunity now to be able to reflect on what it is about those different experiences where I have felt excited, so that I can actually take that and look at other roles in the future that possess more of those kind of opportunities, if that makes sense.
Jocie and Rebecca, thank you both so much. They are really wonderful reflections. Sheena, have you got anything to add on that one?
Thank you for all of that, and it's lovely to hear. I was just thinking about, I mean, I think Jocie is spot on with your comment about time, and the deeper we get into our careers, all of us, the less time we've got. A lot of time for other people. We've got outside of work commitments and people to be thinking about. We're probably everybody on this call probably very good at giving other people advice and boosting them up and saying, no, but you could do this, and oh, you're great at this. But what we're seeking is something for ourselves. And I think when people do feel a bit de-energized or stuck, whatever the situation is with work, we're all grasping at what's in front of us, looking out, and we just can't. It's just foggy, and we forget that we've all had a career, already, and the trick is to look back initially, and right back to when we left school or uni, or maybe even earlier when we started our first job, and just plot that journey line and where have we come from, and which jobs, which roles, which companies, which situations did we really enjoy, and why did we enjoy them. So asking those deep why questions, which Jocie and Beck would remember that exercise. But also, as we sweep back, which were the jobs, the people, the companies, the roles we didn't enjoy, and again asking the why questions. And we forget that the answers actually lie in where we've come from, and then translating that into a go forward strategy. So that's a lot of what this program's about.